Here are 10 things you didn't know about Gilbert, Arizona. Did you know Gilbert used to be called the hay shipping capital of the world? Back in the early 1900s, this town was nothing but farmland, dirt roads, and a single rail line moving alfalfa across the desert. Fast forward a few decades, and now it's one of the fastest growing, safest, and most desirable places to live in the entire country. But here's the thing, everyone talks about how nice Gilbert is, the great schools, the clean neighborhoods, the amazing parks. What almost no one talks about are the surprising truths about living here. The things only you notice once you actually spend time Gilbert day to day. Like how it secretly has one of the youngest populations in all of Arizona. Or that the downtown Gilbert's restaurant scene is quietly competing with Scottsdale's. Or that its next wave of development could completely change the East Valley's traffic, housing prices, and lifestyle over the next decade. So whether you're considering moving here, investing here, or you already call Gilbert home, this video will give you a fresh look at the city beyond the real estate listings. I'm Cole with Inside Gilbert, and this is 10 things you didn't know about Gilbert. And before we dive in, if you're planning to buy or sell a home in Arizona in the next 1 to 12 months, I'd love to help you. You can go to livingphoenixmetro.com/YouTube or click the link in the description below to get started. My info will also be at the end of the video. All right, let's jump in. When you think of Gilbert today, you picture new neighborhoods, golf courses, and shiny shopping centers like Santan Village. But go back just 25 years, this was still mostly farmland. There's no Costco, no Loop 202, no Heritage District packed with all these amazing restaurants. In fact, Gilbert didn't even become a fully incorporated town until 1920, and for decades it was known as the hay shipping capital of the world. The train line that cut through downtown carried nothing but alfalfa and grain. By the year 2000, Gilbert's population was around 110,000 people. Today, it's pushing 290,000. That's nearly tripled in just 2 decades. One of the fastest growth rates of any large city in the United States. And what's wild is how intentional that growth has been. While other parts of the Phoenix Metro sprawled out fast, Gilbert took a master planned approach. Neighborhoods like Power Ranch, Seville, Agritopia were designed around community parks, schools, and walkability before those were even buzzwords. That's part of why so many families who move to the East Valley end up here. Gilbert feels newer, cleaner, more connected. But rapid growth also means change. Farmland turning into housing, small roads becoming 4-lane major construction jams, and new developments replacing open space. So the question is, how does a town that grew this fast keep its small town charm? That's what makes the next few facts so interesting, because Gilbert's identity has shifted completely, yet it still manages to feel like a close-knit community. And part of the growth comes from who's actually moving here. Gilbert has one of the youngest populations in all of Arizona. The median age here is around 34 and half years old. That's almost a decade younger than Scottsdale or especially Sun Lakes. In fact, roughly 40% of Gilbert households have kids under the age of 18. That completely shapes the way the city is built and how it feels to live here. You'll find soccer fields packed on Saturdays, community events every single weekend, and nearly every neighborhood has its own playground, splash pad, or, at least a park trail. Even local restaurants are set up for families, big patios, games for kids, and tons of outdoor space. But the family focus doesn't mean it's boring, because those same young families bring new, vibrant energy. There's new businesses, food spots, and local events that keep the city active year-round. It's the balance of being family-friendly without feeling so sleepy. So if you're coming out of state, especially somewhere like California or Colorado or the Midwest, you'll probably notice right away that Gilbert feels both safe and social. And that's not an accident. It ties directly into how much money people earn and how it influences the city's growth and quality of life. Here's something that surprises a lot of people moving to Gilbert for the first time. The median household income here is over $115,000 a year. That's not just high for Arizona, that's about 40% higher than the national average. And it's one of the main reasons that Gilbert looks and feels the way it does. You see it in the neighborhoods, clean streets, newer homes, and top-rated schools. The money goes where it matters most. You see it in the shopping centers, where the anchor stores are places like Whole Foods, Lululemon, and Apple instead of discount outlets, and you definitely feel it in the dining scene. But of course, we still love our Ross and TJ Maxx. Even for casual restaurants here, they're designed to feel like mini experiences. Great lighting, patios, and that Instagram-worthy vibe. But it's not just about appearance. That level of income means residents here are able to invest back into their homes, support local businesses, and keep property values stable. Even when the broader market dips, Gilbert stays pretty stable. During the 2022 housing correction, Gilbert's home prices didn't crash nearly as hard as some other neighborhood cities. Why? Because demand stayed strong, especially from well-qualified buyers relocating from higher-cost states. So when people say Gilbert is expensive, they're right. But there's a reason behind it. That higher price tag comes with infrastructure, schools, and quality of life that consistently ranks near the top in Arizona. And speaking of that quality of life, one reason it stays so high is that Gilbert is also incredibly safe. If there's one thing Gilbert is known for, it is safety. In 2022, Smart Asset ranked Gilbert as the #2 safest large city in the entire country. And that's not a one-time fluke. Gilbert consistently lands in the top 10 year after year for low violent crime and property crime rates. To put that in perspective, Gilbert's violent crime rate is roughly 1/3 of the national average. Even compared to neighboring cities in the East Valley, Gilbert's numbers are among the lowest. And it's not just because of strict enforcement. The city invests heavily in community policing and neighborhood engagement. The Gilbert Police Department is everywhere, not in an intimidating way, but in a community-focused and building way. They have one of the most active social media presences of any department in Arizona, with updates, shoutouts, and even interesting TikToks that actually go viral sometimes. It creates a culture where people feel connected to the police. They're not disconnected. That's why you'll often hear locals joke that Gilbert feels like it's Disneyland clean, because people feel comfortable walking around with their dogs at night, kids ride their bike to school, and it's not unusual to see your neighbors leave their garage doors open. That sense of safety becomes part of Gilbert's identity, and it's one of the biggest reasons people are moving here to pay a premium especially. But it's not just the policing or income levels that makes it special, it's how the city is built. Gilbert was designed with community and outdoor life at the center, and that brings us to one of the biggest perks of living here, the parks and outdoor spaces. One of the biggest things about Gilbert, and one of the often surprises newcomers, is just how green the city actually is. For a desert city, Gilbert has over 600 acres of developed parks and another 1,000 acres of open space. No matter where you live, you're rarely more than a few minutes away from a park, a playground, or a walking trail. The most popular ones are Freestone Park, Discovery Park, and the massive Gilbert Regional Park down south. That one's a game changer. It's got pickleball courts, a huge splash pad, concrete lawn, and a massive playground that kids absolutely love. And it's still expanding with a full event amphitheater and lake area planned for the next phase. You'll also have smaller neighborhood parks woven right into most communities. Places like Power Ranch or Lionsgate have walking trails, clubhouses, and pools that make it feel like a mini resort built into your subdivision. And for runners and cyclists, the Western Canal Trail and the Heritage Trail connect nearly the entire town without you ever having to touch part of the main road. I used it a lot when training for half marathon. It was fantastic. It's part of what gives Gilbert that family-friendly but active feel. You can live healthy, outdoor lifestyle here year-round, which, let's be real, is not something every Arizona city can claim. But if you're wondering how that kind of lifestyle affects home values, well, the answer is directly. Here's the part that surprises a lot of people when they start house hunting in Gilbert. Yes, homes are more expensive than most of the Phoenix metro. As of late 2025, the average home price in Gilbert sits around $570,000 to $675,000, depending on the neighborhood and type. That's about 20% higher than nearby cities like Mesa or Queen Creek. But here's what's interesting. Gilbert homes tend to hold their value better when the market cools off. Even during the 2022-2023 housing correction, prices here dipped less and recovered faster than almost anywhere in the East Valley. Why? First, Gilbert has limited land left to build on. The town's boundaries are mostly set, so you're not seeing massive waves of new construction like you do in Maricopa or Buckeye. Second, you've got strong household incomes, well above $115,000 average, and buyers who move here for the school, safety, and lifestyle. They're not looking for a quick flip. And third, Gilbert's reputation itself has become a part of its real estate value. When people think about family, friendly, newer, clean, and safe, Gilbert is always the top of that list. That combination of limited supply, stable demand, and strong local fundamentals makes it one of the most resilient housing markets in Arizona. So yes, the price tag might feel higher up front, but in exchange, you're buying into a community that's proven to weather market shifts and stay in demand year after year. And why does demand stay so strong year over year? Well, of course, the lifestyle. Because over the past decade, Gilbert has quietly built one of the best food and entertainment scenes in the entire East Valley. 10 or 15 years ago, downtown Gilbert was just a few old buildings. Today, it's one of the most vibrant dining scenes and entertainment districts in the entire East Valley. Locals call it the Heritage District, and it's packed with more than 30 restaurants and bars, everything from Postino Wine Cafe and Cold Night Dropout to Liberty Market, Joyride Taco, and you've got Oso Brewery, Whiskey Row, so much going on. On a Friday or Saturday night, these sidewalks are full, with couples out to dinner, families grabbing ice cream, gelato, live music, spilling out of its patios. It's walkable, safe, and has that small town meets modern vibe that a lot of cities in Arizona try to create. But few can actually pull that off. And it's not slowing down. The town has invested heavily in new infrastructure. There's new parking, new buildings, new streetscape improvements, with plans to double the Heritage District size over the next several years. That includes new mixed-use developments, apartments, and even office space. So you'll start to see a more urban, energetic feel while still keeping that Gilbert charm. It's one of those rare spots that attracts both young professionals and families, and it's a huge reason Gilbert's lifestyle ranks among the top in the state. And if you're not a downtown person, Gilbert still offers another hidden advantage that most people tend to overlook. You can get anywhere in the city on bike or foot without even leaving a trail. One of the coolest and most underrated parts of living in Gilbert is how connected the city actually is. You can literally bike or walk from one end of town to another without ever touching a major road. That's because Gilbert has built over 135 miles of bike lanes and trails, including some of the best canal paths in Arizona. The most popular are the Western Canal Path and the Heritage Trail, which both weave right through the heart of town. You'll see families walking, dogs running, runners training for half marathons, and cyclists cruising between neighborhoods, all while staying completely off heavy traffic roads. And since Gilbert gets more than 300 days of sunshine a year, it's one of the few suburbs where you can actually live that outdoor lifestyle year-round. Just make sure you've got some water on you. The city's design makes it easy to move, play, and explore, which fits perfectly with Gilbert's younger, active population. And that focuses on livability, extends beyond recreation. It shows up in one of the biggest reasons families move here in the first place: the schools. If you ask any family why they choose Gilbert over another East Valley city, you'll hear the same thing over and over. It's the higher rated schools. Gilbert is served by two of its best rated districts in Arizona, Gilbert Public Schools and the Higley Unified School District. Between them, there are dozens of A and A+ rated campuses, including schools like Campo Verde, Williams Field High, Chaparral Elementary, which consistently rank near the top of the state. According to niche.com, both districts are among the highest rated in Arizona for academics, teachers, and college prep, the things that matter. The quality drives a lot of demand, even from out-of-state families who move here, especially for education. And the city doesn't stop at public schools. Gilbert has a growing mix of charter and private options. These are fantastic, like Basis, Great Hearts, and Gilbert Christian, giving parents flexibility and choice no matter their preference. What all this means is simple. When you buy in Gilbert, you're not buying just a home. You're buying into one of the most respected school systems in the state, and those strong schools don't just help families, they help property values too. Now, speaking of the future, the next few years are shaping up to completely redefine Gilbert once again. Gilbert's story isn't slowing down anytime soon. In fact, the next decade could be its biggest transformation yet. Several massive projects are already underway that will completely reshape how people live, how people work, and how people play. The first one is The Ranch at Germain, a 300-acre mixed-use development near Power and Germain, right next to America's Furniture Warehouse, if you know the area. It's expected to bring restaurants, shopping, parks, and office space, kind of like a mini city within a city. Then there's South Anchor, another master plan project designed to balance out growth in the southern part of town with retail, restaurants, and entertainment. It's also growing the downtown Gilbert area. You'll also see continued expansion around the Heritage District with new apartments, parking garages, and an event plaza all in progress. On the infrastructure side, the town's investing heavily in road improvements, water systems, and public safety upgrades to handle the growing population, which, by the way, is projected to top 300,000 residents by 2026, especially with all the Mormons. I'm from Utah, so I feel like I can make that joke. All of this means that Gilbert is shifting from a quiet suburb into a fully developed, self-contained city, one that still feels clean, connected, and family first. The next version of Gilbert will look different, but the goal is the same: keep the small town heart while evolving for the next generation. So there you have it, 10 surprising facts about living in Gilbert, Arizona. From its farming roots to its food scene, from family-friendly parks to some of the best schools in the state, Gilbert really is one of the rare cities that's grown fast without losing its soul. Whether you're thinking about moving here, investing here, or you already call Gilbert home, it's clear the town is only getting better with time. If you're planning to buy or sell a home in Arizona within the next 1 to 12 months, I'd love to be your real estate resource. You can go to livingphoenixmetro.com/YouTube or click the link in the description below to get started. And if you want to keep up with everything happening around the East Valley, from new developments to neighborhood spotlights, and of course, the hidden gems, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn notifications. I'm Cole with Inside Gilbert, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace, y'all.